Got a little glass etching project, and I got a piece of glass, but it's got like a little, unfortunately, it's got a little mark on it right here. Let's see. If you can see that, but it's got where the mirror has rubbed off the back. The backing rubbed off. So I need to cut it. And for the design I'm working on, it actually works better if I cut off a little bit of it. Got my glass cutter. It's got a swivel top on it, which sometimes makes it a little hard to cut straight lines. So I use this great big huge level I got as a straight edge. Just line it up with the line. And the trick is to make just one score on it. You know, it's not cutting it through, it's just scoring it. You don't want to have to go over it again because that dulls your blade. Let's move this back just slightly. Okay. One smooth cut. And then what you're supposed to do is put this underneath where you scored it, like that, and then just press down. Perfect cut. When I got this from the glass shop, they polished the edges, they call it, and it's basically just sanding it down. So now we got a sharp edge on this side. So we'll sand it down a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, basically we're just going to sand this a little bit, and for me, I found the best thing that works good for me is just one of these sanding blocks. It's just kind of like foam. It's a foam block. You get them at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. It's a 3M. And it's just got like an abrasive surface on the outside. And what you don't want to do is, you know, scratch your top surface or your bottom surface. You're just kind of doing the edges. And you can just go kind of a little easy on it. Doesn't take a whole lot. Put something down here. Don't scratch it. I like using this because it gives a little bit. So like if you're catching the corners and they're a little bit higher, you don't want to like crack into the glass or anything. So this gives a little bit to it. Seems to be a little safer. Pretty much it. Now it's nice and smooth. You don't have to worry about cutting your finger or something when you're working on it. It's pretty much all it is, all it takes. Okay, so now we got to do the etching part. Okay, so here's my logo that I'm going to cut out in an etch. And it's the old Pontiac logo. And I just drew this in Illustrator, and then I brought it into FlexiSign so I could cut it out. most people don't, you don't have to have all this equipment and stuff. If you need something done, if you want like a custom glass etching, you want to do it yourself, but you don't have the logo and stuff, you can always contact a sign company near you or a graphics designer, and usually they'll be able to get you what you want pretty inexpensively. The vinyl itself that we use for the mask is like real cheap. So for this, it's like maybe 25 cents a vinyl. I don't know, 50 cents maybe. So it kind of just goes by how complicated your design is. If they have it already, if you want like a basic logo that they have already, that's real easy to cut out, mask it, give it to you. Might be $10 or something, If you want something more complicated, of course, it's going to be just based on your time. Yeah, and you can always send me a message, ask me if you want something like this done. That's what I do, set up stuff like this. Graphic design is what I do. So send me a message if you need something, and I'll just tell you, yeah, it's going to be $10 or whatever. Okay, so we got this ready to cut. We're just going to send it. It's just basically cutting out the logo as a sticker, and that's what we're going to use as our mask to make the etching. Guard cat on duty. That's pretty much all it took for that little thing. Now we gotta peel out everything that gets etched. A little extra on the end here. Got that I can save it. That's it. Now we just gotta put the mask on. It's a big roll of masking tape. This little thing like this, you can just sit on it upside down and smooth it out. Okay. Now that's ready to put on the glass. Okay, now we need to clean this glass up really good. Just use some alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Just make sure you get all your greasy fingerprints off of it. If it's not really clean, then the etching stuff doesn't work as good. a little more space. And a squeegee. Squeegee, or you can use a credit card. Something kind of a hard plastic. Half. That's perfect. 2.5. There we go. 2. 2.5. 2.5. Just check it a bunch of times to make sure you got it right. That's pretty good. Make yourself a little hinge. Hinge with masking tape on the end. Okay. Then all you gotta do is fold this back. And a lot of times it's easier just to go off the hinge side. You want to pull the backing paper off. There you go. Take your time taking it off slowly because you don't want to rip up any of the logo. Just peel it back all the way. See, like it's almost catching. Let's move this over so you can see a little bit better. It's almost going to catch on this little piece right here. You can see it start to pull it up. So you take your time, so you just push it back down with your thumb. And it goes right in place. Otherwise you'll rip this piece of vinyl off a little bit, and then you'll have a little bit of a problem when you go to etch it. You might get some etch marks where you don't want them. Okay, go this way. So now we got the sticker already. Wipe this down one more time, just if any dust or anything got on it while you were doing that. Then you just kind of fold it over. Don't let it down. Just kind of hold it there and then go back to your center mark. Kind of where your center is here on the side. And just kind of lightly, starting with the center, just smooth it out. You know, up and down, smooth it out. It's the same way you put any kind of like decal. If you're putting a decal in your car or something that has the backing paper on it like this. This is like the way to get it on there perfectly straight and in the center. That's the best way to make sure it doesn't move, you know, because if you're just trying to put a sticker on something, you know, and just trying to eyeball it, you know, you might get pretty close, but it's not going to be perfect. Like this technique is going to get you where exactly you want it perfectly. And you just kind of keep smoothing it down a little bit harder. Take your little hinge tape off. And now what you want to do is get the masking tape. Peel the masking tape off. Don't do it super fast. Take your time. And the best way is to kind of hold it down like this and just peel it back like straight. Don't try to peel it up like that because you could lift off the decal a little bit. Pull it straight off like this. Like you can even put your hand flat, you know. Pull it off. Make sure you don't touch the mirror area where you're going to etch, because then you'd be getting your fingerprints on stuff again you don't want. Okay. Now that's all good. We got all this edge around the outside. And you don't want that to be showing. So you can just take some spare vinyl pieces you got. Cut them up. Now's the time just to place it on there. Make sure you overlap it a little bit, but don't get it into where the etching is going to be. Smooth it down. And just do it. Keep doing it all the way around. Because what we want is nothing to show except where we're going to etch. Start down here at the bottom. You can get it like right up next to the area you're going to etch, but just be careful. Try not to touch it. If something happens and you do touch it, it's not a disaster. Just take a little bit of alcohol and a paper towel or Q-tip or something, depending on your area, and just lightly clean it off. This here. Make sure you overlap both ends pretty good. You can kind of see here how much overlap I got. And you can do this with masking tape too. I just like to use the spare vinyl because it's just extra stuff I would just be throwing away otherwise, so it's good to just use it up instead of using my tape all the time. And plus it sticks better than tape a little bit. It's a little more flexible if you have to get into like a tight area. Okay, we've got a little piece here. It's okay if you touch this area where you're masking off. That's not going to matter because you're going to clean it again anyway when you're done. You just don't want to get in this part that we're going to etch. Okay, we almost got it. Alright, now that's all set. You don't have to worry about the edges. You could wrap this around if you want to, but it just makes it harder. If you have the polished edges like this, even if you get the etching cream on it, it's not going to do anything to it. It's going to just look the same. And then you just, if you see any fur, like cat fur, like we got around here, or dog fur, just dust it off a little bit. And then just clean up your stuff real quick, and then we'll show you how to do the actual etching part. Okay, now we have it all ready to go as far as putting the acid on it. And you just need like a paintbrush. And this is the stuff that I use here, Armour Etch glass etching cream, and it's just like a type of acid that eats into the glass and etches it. Usually you would not do a big area like this with this kind of stuff because it does give you some variations and waves in it. But I usually can do it pretty good. Sometimes you have to do it a few times, coat it on, then wash it off, coat it on. Just kind of depends on how it turns out. It's better for like real fine lines, like if you're doing borders and stuff like that. It works better. But we're going to try it on this anyway. See how it comes out. One thing I did want to mention is sometimes you'll get little bubbles and stuff in the vinyl. All that stuff is okay, as long as you don't have like a bubble like right on the edge of where you're going to etch. You just want to look over that one more time. If you need to smooth down any places, just because you don't want the bubble to be on the edge so that the etching acid goes underneath it and spreads out. That would not be good. Turn the light on here. Stick yourself a tissue. See anything? Just wipe it down one more time. Okay. I'd like to open this in this bag because you don't want to get it anywhere. You don't want to get it on yourself. Make sure you have the window open or you're outside so you don't breathe in these fumes too much. Just scoop it out. Coat it on. Make sure you get all the edges. I like to put it on pretty thick. Okay, that's it. You got it all coated now. Now you need to wait about 5 minutes. And we'll wash it off. Now you just want to spray this off with water really good. Just make sure you run a lot of water. The water neutralizes the acid pretty quick. But you want to run a lot of water and then rinse out your area after it all drains out, just to make sure you get all the residue out. You don't want to leave it sitting in there. Okay, now we just gotta let it dry. Let it dry for a while, and then we'll check back and see how the etch did. Okay, so I got it out. It looks pretty good, but you can kind of see the light. You see there's a little bit of variation in it. And that's because this stuff, it works good, but it's not really for big spaces like this. This was more like an experiment to try and see how it looked, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to etch it again. Same process, just put the acid on one more time. Let it soak in, and that should even up some of this variation you get in here. It's kind of like a little pattern, but it doesn't look too bad, but we can make it look better, I think, if we do it again. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll check back in. Okay, I got it coated one more time. I'm just going to let this sit 7-8 minutes, I think, this time. And then you can also, you know, move this around a little bit. If you see, like after the first time, if you've got any like little spots or something that's missing, just to make sure you get like all the little corners and everything, you can move this around some. Just like that. Okay, now we'll wait, and then we'll wash it off again, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so I etched it again. It really smoothed out the second time. Put the stuff on it, and it looks, you know, 100% better than one. So sometimes you have to do it a couple times. Sometimes 3 times. It just depends. But like I said, it's harder to do in these big areas. When you get, like, most of the stuff I do is like an Art Deco style of thin lines, like borders and stuff. And those always come out pretty good. You know, the thin lines always work better. But you just have to check them. You have to wash it and then check it, because there might be a little dot or something that you've missed, and you have to etch it again. So I generally etch stuff at least 2 times. Something big like this, I might even try 3 times, but this one came out good on the second time. So now we just gotta peel off all the vinyl to actually see how it's gonna look. It's looking pretty good. That, and I got my little knife. Pick up these little spots here. Careful not to scratch the glass. That's it. That's it. Now we just gotta clean it off a little bit. A little more alcohol. Sometimes you get this little residue from the glue on the back of the vinyl, and the alcohol looks really good, dissolving all that and getting everything super clean. And actually, the more you clean this, the better the etch looks, because you're kind of polishing the etching when you're cleaning it at the same time. that's it. Came out pretty good. The old style Pontiac logo. It's just for somebody that likes Pontiac. You know, hang it up in your office or garage. Those little plastic clips. Like I said, you can hang it up wherever. Just use like little glass clips you can get like anywhere, hardware store, to hang mirrors up. And this is actually an 8 by 20 inch size. So, also if you're interested in anything like that, I can make you up something like that, send it to you. I sell them on eBay sometimes, and then sometimes I make them for customers around town, just depending on what they want. Some people have like China hutch cabinets where one door got broke and they have some etching on it, and I've matched that up to it, you know, replace the window for them. Or if you would just like to do it yourself and you need a decal or something, email me on that too. I'll put my email in the link in the description. And thanks for watching, and it came out good. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you later. See you next time.